Good morning and welcome to the City of Vaughan's 9th Annual International Women's Day celebration. My name is Stella Acquisto, on-air personality specializing in many different roles, including news, entertainment, sports, and lifestyle. It is my pleasure to emcee this very special event from the beautiful City Playhouse Theatre in Vaughan. Before we begin, we respectfully acknowledge that the City of Vaughan is situated in the territory and Treaty 13 lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. We also recognize the traditional territory of the Huron-Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, and the City of Vaughan is currently home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people today. As representatives of the people of the City of Vaughan, we are grateful to have the opportunity to work and live in this territory. Today we celebrate women and girls globally, their strength, resiliency, achievements, successes, and progress. The United Nations Women has announced this year's International Women's Day theme to be Gender Equality Today for Sustainable Tomorrow. The theme for this year's International Women's Day is aligned with the priority theme for the upcoming 66th Commission on the Status of Women, Achieving Gender Equality and the Empowerment of All Women and Girls in the context of climate change, environmental, and disaster risk reduction policies and programs. Vaughan has been celebrating International Women's Day for many years now, consistently demonstrating its strong support for gender equity and the advancement of women at all levels in all sectors. It is my distinct pleasure at this time to welcome His Worship, the Honorable Maurizio Bevilacqua, Mayor of the City of Vaughan, to bring greetings.
International Women's Day is a meaningful occasion to pause and reflect upon the outstanding contribution women have made throughout history. In Vaughan, we are committed to celebrating the important achievements and strong leadership of remarkable women here at home and in communities around the world. We pride ourselves on being an inclusive city where everyone is valued, respected, and encouraged to realize their full potential. I believe that when women receive support and equal opportunities, they are empowered to inspire change and continue charting the path for future female trailblazers, and ultimately, all citizens. International Women's Day is very important to me, as I have been inspired by many strong women in my lifetime, the most notable being my mother, Philomena. Her grace, elegance, and resilient ability to never give up taught me a great deal, which I continue to live by. Her essence is one of hope, optimism, and gratitude. Today I pay tribute to her and to every woman working to make a positive contribution to society. Once again, on behalf of members of Council, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Mayor Bevilacqua and members of Council. Today you will meet some exceptional women leaders representing various sectors who will share with us their life stories, achievements, goals, challenges, and successes, as well as their thoughts on gender equity and its important connection to sustainability. We will engage in one-on-one discussions with each of our distinguished guests and enjoy some great entertainment from some very special youth performers. And on that note, let's get started with our first performance. This composing duo of twin siblings began performing in local venues in 2018 and soon thereafter became quite the talk of the town and beyond. Their musical talent, coupled with their sensational singing ability, have made them a crowd favorite. Welcome to the stage, Shadou.
Nurture and grow, see what you sow, is that you reap your know, so nurture and grow. What's going on in our schools today? What's going on in our society? Get to lose, no guidance, no parental rules. Get to lose, no one to talk
Wow, thank you, Shadou, for that fantastic performance. These young ladies are definitely talented, and we wish them the best in their ongoing career. We'll be hearing from them once again a little later on. It's time now to welcome our first guest speaker. She is a registered nurse who currently works full-time at the emergency department at Mackenzie Richmond Hill Hospital. She is also a nursing clinical instructor at a local university, guiding future generations of nurses. She has been recognized and awarded numerous accolades, including the Nirojan Kaneswar-Lingam Award for Leadership and Spirit and the Joan C. Ballantyne Compassionate Nursing Prize. Welcome, Etie Eisenberg. Let's begin with a bit more of an introduction about yourself, your story, your challenges and successes as they relate to your role as a woman in the field of healthcare.
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. So as mentioned, my name is Etie Eisenberg. I'm a registered nurse currently working at Mackenzie Health Richmond Hill Hospital in the emergency department. I also do have a part-time job working as a clinical instructor at a local university where I get the pleasure of teaching like the next generation, I guess, of nursing students. I kind of started as any other teenager would, working in customer service and kind of retail. And then as I completed some of my education in the fields that I liked, I realized I was going to be in medicine. I didn't know exactly what it was, but I was going to be there. So I went to York University and completed a Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology and Psychology, and then progressed to do my Bachelor of Science in Nursing when I finally decided what I wanted to do. And along that journey, I actually worked for a vascular surgeon in the community, and then I decided to volunteer at the hospital that my mom worked at, which was Mackenzie Health. And I spent about a year working at the urgent care clinic, where I just kind of did my thing around the clinic and learnt the ways of healthcare, in which case I decided to apply to a position at Mackenzie, and I became a patient access rep for give or take about 3 years, and eventually decided that nursing was my place. So I applied for the Bachelor of Science in Nursing. I completed that, and closer to the end of my education, I came across the clinical extern position. And I kind of jumped at that opportunity because during the pandemic we were limited to the clinical hours that we had, and this was the opportunity to be present in the care system, to be present with patients and kind of bridge that gap. I find that this clinical extern position does bridge that gap between that exceptional care and that world-class care that we look for. Clinical externs are nursing students that kind of have that education and have that background, aren't fully registered and have a limited scope, but do help the team to the greatest extent. After I did some time as a clinical extern and was working in emergency, I realized that that was my place. So the second I could, when I became registered, I jumped at the opportunity and I applied and thankfully got hired as an emergency department nurse. And that was kind of my little journey. Definitely a more rocky road kind of thing, and lots of different kind of hurdles to tackle, but it all came together and thankfully I love what I do.
Well, that's an incredible journey.
Thank
and
you.
so with that being said, how has your role within your organization or experiences throughout your career been instrumental in supporting gender equity and the important role that women have undertaken in the building of a more sustainable future?
So I think that healthcare and nursing has generally been a female-dominated profession, and that's kind of what we think about when we hear nurse. And we actually talk about that a lot in school where, we're kind of tackling that barrier and getting over that hurdle, I guess. And in the 4 years that I have been with Mackenzie Health, I've really noticed a difference. And there's definitely more equity and more equality amongst the staff, and everyone works together and everyone works for the greater good, and there's no such thing as differences really. We are there to provide that compassionate care and that environment for patients to heal, and we can't do that unless we are one big team and everyone has a seat at the table. So I think within healthcare, that's kind of one of the most important things we can have.
Okay, so we do have another question. This is
Sure.
our last question, more of an opinion piece actually.
Sure.
Essentially, in your opinion, what is the cost of the lack of gender equity or equality in the world we live in today?
There's definitely, it's evident when there's gender inequality and inequity. And quite frankly, I think that these things put a pause and a halt on our society and humankind and just the development of us in general. There's so many people, so many women, so many everyone. It doesn't matter where you come from, who you are, what you identify as. Everyone has something to bring. And if we don't prioritize that and don't allow people to express that and to show that, we quite frankly put a pause on our development as a human species. So another way of looking at it, and in my opinion, is, we thankfully are very fortunate to live in a society where we have a lot of opportunity and we have a lot of space to move on and to take on new things. And I grew up with my parents and my dad especially really pushing me to try anything and everything and do whatever I want to do and strive to get there. And that's kind of how my path to a registered nurse was. So I think when we have equity and equality and support amongst everyone, we only have better, right? We only have that guidance towards a better society, a better community, and better support. And I think that's the best thing you can have, especially in hard times like a pandemic. What more can you have than support from one another, right? So that's kind of my opinion on that.
Well, with that being said, you know what? We're extremely grateful for you and your colleagues and for the amazing work that you've done during this pandemic. So thank you so much for joining us here today, for your insightful thoughts on such an important subject. It has been such a pleasure to meet you. Stay with us, everyone, because next up we have a sensational performance by a pop rock group of young ladies who use their talents in music, writing, singing, dancing, and instrument playing to inspire others to be the very best they can be. Welcome Juno nominee, Girl Power.
Never let go, don't go, never let go, don't go, never let go, don't go. Yeah, I'm feeling all this pressure to be something else. They want me to act just like them. I'm feeling out of place, telling me what to do and what to say, where and who to be, telling me that I can't be me. Yeah, I can't be me. Don't go, never let go. Don't go, never let go. Don't go, never let go. Don't go. Ooh. Bring me down, it means nothing. Can't you see, just see that it's hurting. I don't wanna be them, to my own drum beating. Yeah, I tried to be someone that I'm not, yeah, I'm so done. I don't wanna be them, to my own drum beating. Never trust, never gonna trust you. You make me feel like I'm overdone too. I'm not gonna fall, not gonna fall. Yeah, I'm trying not to be you at all. I'm gonna stand above you, gonna stand above you. Never gonna need you, never gonna need you. Yeah, I love myself, wouldn't be someone else. Bring me down, it means nothing. Can't you see, just see that it's hurting. I don't wanna be them, to my own drum beating. Yeah, I tried to be someone that I'm not, yeah, I'm so done. I don't wanna be them, to my own drum beating. Don't go, never let go. Don't go, never let go. Don't go, never let go. Don't go, ooh. Don't go, never let go. Don't go, never let go. Don't go, never let go. Don't go, ooh. Bring me down, it means nothing. Can't you see, just see that it's hurting. Yeah, I tried to be someone that I'm not, yeah, I'm so done. I don't wanna be them. Ooh. Bring me down, hey. Can't you see that it's hurting? Whoa. I don't wanna be them. Yeah, I tried to be someone that I'm not, yeah, I'm so done. I don't wanna be them, to my own drum beating. Bring me down,
Well, thank you, Girl Power. They were great, weren't they? We look forward to another performance a little later on. Up next, joining me remotely is the former chief of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and appointed member of the Order of Canada. She holds wisdom, expertise, and extensive experience in community development, advocacy of Indigenous-led initiatives, and improving Canadians' understanding of First Nations. She is also the woman behind the Moccasin Identifier Project. Welcome, Elder Carolyn King.
Ani, Carolyn King, Dijnakas, Carolyn King, Ajubayan, New Credit. That's my name in Anishinaabe. And it says I live at New Credit, which is the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. It's a Indian reserve, one of the 600 plus Indian reserves in Canada. And where I'm coming to you from Southern Ontario, basically the foot of Ontario, between the Great Lakes.
The leadership role of Indigenous women and girls in climate action and change has been immeasurable. For example, 17-year-old Autumn Peltier of Wikwemikong First Nation, Manitoulin Island, and Nobel Peace Prize nominee Sheila Watt Cloutier, Inuit activist, and Hindu Umaru Ibrahim of the Imbororo people of Lake Chad Basin in Central Africa, to name a few. Now, can you share with us the experiences that resonate with you when you think about environmental, economic, and social challenges faced by women, particularly Indigenous women, and how the role of women in leadership has positively impacted necessary change?
So as a member of the Mississaugas, I've been involved in community development, land use planning, and working on projects to help people be aware of the environment that we have. If you ever look at a Google map, the Six Nations, we're adjacent to the Six Nations, which is the largest populated reserve in Canada, not the largest land base, but definitely a lot of members and people who live there. The Mississaugas, Anishinaabe, are adjacent, and we moved from the city of Mississauga in the Credit River, 1847, almost 175 years ago now. And that, so we're conscious of building our community up and being part of the surrounding area. We're in a very populated area. Millions of people live within an hour's drive of us, and that so all of that population impacts the environment. And here, as we sit on the Indian Reserve, as a community and with lots of natural environment around us, it becomes important to honor it and to live on. I mean, people have to live, and our population grows too, but also recognizing that the trees that surround us and the plants and the animals that are in the area. And about 6 miles to the north of us is the Grand River, and I've been watching the ice there today. As Mother Nature does its thing, it may break up today. We'll see what's going to happen. But watching the environment and being part of it and understanding how we relate to it, and I think that really has been a lot of women's work. We have to look after our children and our family, and that basics to getting ready for the morning and sending our kids out into that environment, and that as we notice it changing, in which case maybe a warmer, and also different bad storms coming up, wind, snow, rain. We've just went through that this past week in Southern Ontario, and has definitely impacted us in our, how we live on the land. But it's something that we have to be cognizant of, and that our community has been really supportive or involved in doing our work to address the climate change and how we're going to live in it, and that the educating our people and our youth about what might be coming. I think that's an important role for the women. We were just on with another group, and we were talking about what we need to do to educate all women in that group, and that we're proposing some events to help people understand. Maybe they don't understand the big environmental changes, but how it affects you on the ground. And when you walk out that, from your home into that outside space. Yeah, so I think we're really having we think about it, we live it, and we're part of it. And hopefully that we can share our unique maybe perspective about that, about the land and the climate, and that, we live in try to live in a traditional value mindset as opposed to not traditional way, because we don't live in wigwams or teepees anymore. We live in houses and we have modern conveniences around us, but the value of respecting that land, I think, is important for all the people, and I think especially women who give life.
Thank you for that very inspirational response. It is quite clear that climate change affects us all. In what ways do you feel this change has materialized, and to what degree and in which capacity are we seeing women respond to the crisis at hand?
Okay, well, it is impacting us. Like I said, I just mentioned that, that we've had some pretty torrential rains, and a couple of weeks ago, major snowfall that people had to basically stay in their homes. And for us, we're not too far away from an urban center. We had the little town of Hagersville beside us, and that we're close to service, you might say. We don't, in other communities, our First Nations people are remote, may live in a remote or even a fly-in community, and that they're hours in maybe an airplane ride away from maybe a medical center. So we're fortunate here to be, within 10 minutes of a hospital, fortunate to be 30 minutes within a major hospital in Hamilton. And so for us, it's not the same kind of inconvenience as a more rural or remote community may be in. And the women, mothers, grandmothers, as I am, that we're always concerned about how our children are going to be out there, and we have to send them out in a bus, like how that bus is going to be able to navigate the roads. And so I think women are a key part of adapting to what's happening in the climate. And as we promote that, we are aware of what's happening out there, why it's happening, and see the differences that's happening in our community. With, for instance, when we have drought, I help organize the annual cultural event here, the Three Fires Homecoming Powwow, and that we are watching the weather all the time. And then, as our event starts, we got good weekend weather, or we have a bad weekend and we have to move indoors. So there's lots of things that the outdoor dictates, you might say, in the way that we operate. So we're good at adjusting and finding shelter and finding safe space for us to survive an event. And that's what we're experiencing, that too, a more traumatic event. We had a very hot summer, and that, if we're not on a body of water. So for us, it becomes where do we get water to water our gardens, that type of thing. And that's so, I think we're adjusting, maybe not where we want to be, but I think as we learn more and educate more, and that's where I am. I'm in sort of communications and education, and activities through the library and through the culture committee. We try to promote our connection to the land and all of its elements.
I would like to take a moment at this time to have you share with us a little about the Moccasin Identifier project, how it began, what its main goal is, and where do you see the project heading in the future?
That's my baby, the Moccasin Identifier project. We call it now Moccasin Identifier, whether we're going to call it a program or an initiative or a campaign. But it is really expanded. It's been about 10 years, just going on more than that. Maybe about 12 years this coming year. And that when the idea was born, and that we were doing a research project on identifying significant sites on the land that's in our treaty land and traditional territories, and that we were researching, from history, where our people lived and how they lived and what they, what they did, what their activities were. And that we were researching up in Collingwood area for one of our members, Catherine Sutton, who is now a national, recognized as a national person of interest. And that she had moved there and was looking to buy land up there as an Indigenous woman. And because of that, she wasn't allowed to buy land. So today that's different, but all of that work talked about, well, what's going to happen when they, where they were doing the archaeological work and when they dug it up and they take away all of our artifacts, what is it? What's left for people to know? And it was suggested that we have a marker, start a plaquing program so that people could go there. And if they didn't have a smartphone to use, they could use they could see a plaque. And ideally, well, in the future, we'll have a QR code on there to help use a smartphone and bring that information out, just like you get on like the Google Maps or different road maps that have a digital dot, and you can check to see what's there. So we're looking to be one of those dots that people know about the First Nations, the different groups that are here in Ontario. We have 133 First Nations who live on Indian reserves, and then we have all our people live in the urban centers or someplace else in the province or even in the world. And that the idea was born after that discussion about we need to have a marker. And that it was suggested, and I said, okay, well, let's talk about that. So the idea was that we were going to create a universal marker that people would recognize the Indigenous people and that, know that it is. And so it was suggested that we start out with a eagle feather was suggested. And we said, no, that's too important to us. And that I should have had my eagle feather. I have two. And that is too important to us. It's given to us in recognition and honor. And that we don't want it just on the ground and people walking over it, not knowing how important it is to us. So then it was suggested our dotems, our clan system, the deer, the fish, the different clans that our people are part of. And that's the whole story about our Indigenous side and our clan system and how we relate to each other. And that I said, same thing. The clans are just as important. We get them in our name, with our names, and that, we have roles to play in that Indigenous world. And I said, well, what should it be? And so I was sent, I was given the task of coming up with a symbol. And so I went back to my office and I wrote on my whiteboard, what will identify us and connect us to the land? I asked that question every day. What is it? And I said, it should have taken me 3 days. But on the third day, I said, it's our footwear. And that's how I call myself, the founder and creator of the Moccasin Identifier. And that from there, we met up with the Bata Shoe. I was referred to them. They have a huge collection of Indigenous footwear. Bata Shoe is the largest of its kind in the world. And that they have half of their collection, 2 stories down, half of their collection is the Indigenous population, circumpolar, Tibet, Siberia, Inuit, and then North America. And that's how we get one of those, that's the Anishinaabe stencil behind me on the wall. And that our Anishinaabe one is like Ojibwe, and the word Ojibwe means gathered up, puckered seam. So you can see in the center of that, it's gathered up, and that's, you can look at, if we were wearing our footwear, you could look at our footwear and say that's an Anishinaabe Ojibwe. And that's so the program, we're just promoting it out that would be the symbol that we would use to do an educational program. And that is, as I say it, starting over, and we're going to change the world, and that we're starting over with the children. Most of the education system has not been supportive of us, and that we've developed curriculum to talk about what treaties are, who the Indigenous people live on them, and that we've put it out on a website, moccasinidentifier.com, and a teacher in Ontario can go to that that curriculum and teach it to the children, 1 to 8, and then as an interactive, they stencil a moccasin. And for the moccasin identifier in Ontario, we have 4 stencils representing the linguistic groups of Ontario, the Cree in the north, the Anishinaabe kind of all of Ontario, the Huron-Wendat across the middle sector, Collingwood over to north of Toronto, and then we have the Seneca Haudenosaunee in the lower part for the educational program. All of the Iroquois communities live in Ontario now, but for historical context, we are using the Seneca. So just to finish off, talking about how we're taking the moccasin identifier and using it as an educational tool for schools and for the general public now. And that we're even looking at ideas where we focus on Ontario, to work with schools and organizations, libraries, archives, and community history organizations and municipalities. And that is going very well. And that we're, as we ask municipalities to support the moccasin identifier in their jurisdiction, that is happening. For instance, in Vaughan, I know that there are activities happening there that include the Indigenous people, us as the Mississaugas, but also as the Mississauga nations and the urban groups that are now live in the cities and areas. And that we're, like I said, we are working with the municipalities. And just an example, the city of Mississauga, they are looking to establish a marker across a sidewalk, a crosswalk, and that they would put the moccasin identifier on the sidewalk, and traffic and people would walk across it. And it looks like it's going to be right near the civic center there for them. And that's an honor that we're getting that kind of recognition, and other municipalities are doing that. And we are working with a corporate partner to take the moccasin identifier national. As different organizations, corporations even, they are looking to do land acknowledgements of whose land that their corporate offices are reside on. And we're working with a large national group on updating their welcoming plaques at their entrances. And that some of them are on the wall, some are standalone signs, and they are recognizing the groups whose land they reside on, and they are putting a picture of the moccasin identifier as part of that, the land acknowledgement, and in the language. So it'll be from Halifax right out to Vancouver, 6 sites that we're working on. Very interesting. And as I say, we want to change the world, and that people, as we go forth, people will recognize the Indigenous people are still here. And we're doing our best to help. Chimigwech.
Thank you, Elder Carolyn King, for joining us today and sharing your knowledge and insight on the leadership undertaken by Indigenous women in this very important topic of gender equity and sustainability. It has been a privilege speaking with you, and all the best on your continued success with the Moccasin Identifier Project. We'll be right back with our next guest, so stay right where you are. Our next guest speaker has worked in public libraries her entire professional career. She is currently the Chief Executive Officer of Vaughan Public Libraries, which under her leadership has become recognized as an award-winning, innovative, empowering employer that facilitates community engagement, inspires creation, and stimulates learning. Let's welcome Margie Singleton. Thank you for joining us here today. We really appreciate you being here. It's a very special event recognizing women and girls around the world and their immeasurable contributions to gender equity, climate change, and sustainability. Perhaps we can begin with having you share with us a little bit about yourself, your story, your challenges, and successes as they relate to your role as a woman in your field of expertise.
Thanks very much, Stella. I'm happy to be here. It's quite an honor. I started working in public libraries when I was only 15. So it's a passion of mine. It's been a lifelong pursuit, which has been, it's been very rewarding for me. Unintentionally, I chose a career that is female dominated. So when one looks at gender equality and gender barriers, that's not something I've ever encountered in a library profession. So in that way, it's been great. For many years, I worked part-time when my children were small, and I was able to continue my profession from a part-time position. So when I returned full-time, I was able to just continue where I left off. And that's, I think, because it is a female-dominated profession, that many opportunities exist for people who choose to work in perhaps part-time positions also. So it's been a wise choice, which was perhaps by happenstance, but it was good. It's been good for me, for my career, so.
That's wonderful. And as you know, this year's United Nations International Women's Day theme is Gender Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow. So speaking along those lines, how has your role within your organization or experiences throughout your career been instrumental in supporting gender equity and the important role that women have undertaken in the building of a more sustainable future?
Well, first I'll speak about our staff. When we recruit for people to work at the Vaughan Public Libraries, we recruit for people with the best skills, with the best attitude, with the best approach. We don't recruit by gender, that we look for people with the best skill set. We don't define a gender-based position. So we hire the best and the brightest, and I think in that way that we are eliminating some of the gender barriers. But when one talks about our customers, when we have a number of programs that we offer at the library that are STEM, S-T-E-M, or S-T-E-A-M programs that encourage young women and young men, but particularly girls, to build their interest in the science and technology fields. Those programs are very popular. They're attended primarily by women. We do have young girls. We do have young boys who attend, but it's something that we're trying to do just to build interest, because historically there have been fewer women in entering into the science and technology field, and it's something that we want to promote and inspire those young girls also.
So it's hard to believe our time is almost up. But our last question for today for you is, women and girls around the world are instrumental leaders in responding to global issues of climate change, adaptation, and ways in which to mitigate and respond to it. So, how important do you feel this leadership is in connection with building a sustainable future for all?
It's essential that we have the brightest and the most innovative people working on these issues of global warming and all of the other issues that are dealing with climate change. 50% of the brain power sits in female bodies, so we would be crazy not to include women and to inspire them to be involved and to encourage engagement in the solving of these worldwide problems.
Thank you, Margie Singleton, for being with us here today and for sharing such an inspirational message. So, okay, everyone, it's time to welcome back to the stage the incredible duo, Shadou. Take it away, ladies.
When you see the morning light, you know you're seeing
Thank you, Jem Shadou. They were fantastic, weren't they? Next up, we have two sisters who have successfully garnered a huge following on social media as they share their personal lives with the world, sharing business tips, recipes, and the everyday life as moms and franchisors. Entrepreneurs at heart, these sisters started Canada's first spa for kids in 2006, franchised that business in 2015, and in 2018 started their own marketing business enterprise. Let's learn a little more about Laura and Josie Canone, also known as the Gigi Sisters.
So my name is Laura Canone. I am CEO and co-founder of Glamagal Kids Spa franchise.
I am Josie and my sister is Laura, and we are both mothers, we are business partners. We started our franchise business called Glamagal Kids Spa.
Created right here in Vaughan, Ontario. I'm also one half of the Gigi Sisters.
The Gigi Sisters was created as a platform to share behind the scenes of running a franchise and also being an entrepreneur. We hope to inspire women, follow their dreams, and continue with that.
Some of the challenges is so many women don't have the confidence to grow and succeed, and where we come in is we try to boost their confidence, boost their self-esteem, and try to give them some of the tools and things that we've learned along the way to help them out.
And I think one of our major challenges has been the pandemic. We have been there supporting our franchisors and each other during that struggle of the pandemic. Gender equality means to me that regardless of your gender, you're given the same opportunities and given the same respect regardless of your gender, and that you don't feel discriminated against because of your gender.
And sustainability is that there's policies and procedures put in place that help sustain all the growth that women have had and accomplished over the years in terms of their roles. So without policies and practices in place, we will not be able to achieve sustainability. So it is so important that we have these policies and practices in place. In my role as a franchisor, I have been able, along with my sister, to give women the opportunity to open their own locations, to open their own business, to run with our ideas and their own ideas and create something for themselves, their family, and their community. So in terms of the Gigi Sisters, we've been able to incorporate everything that we've learned along the years through running a business and a franchise to help other entrepreneurs that are not just our franchisees to run their own business, to follow their entrepreneurial dreams, and to really look at the society that they live in as an opportunity and to go against the barriers that they may have faced in the past.
So my role has been to always help inspire and continue to empower women through their business choices, through their business opportunities. Historically and currently, we see the important role women play, whether it be in government decisions, innovation in business, and throughout the community.
Thank you, Laura and Josie Canone, the Gigi Sisters. We wish you so much continued success in all your endeavors. Joining me on stage right now, we have a woman who has established an impeccable reputation as a trusted, experienced, and committed business professional, and currently serves the City of Vaughan in her role as Deputy City Manager, Legal and Administrative Services, and City Solicitor. Having joined the city in May 2019, she has consistently demonstrated leadership and mentorship. Welcome, Wendy Law. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Let's begin with your story, your challenges, and your successes as they relate to your role as a woman in your field of expertise.
Thank you, Stella. So I must say, as a woman, I've been very lucky because I've been in very inclusive environment throughout my career. I started out as a City of Toronto articling student, and then I went to the City of Mississauga for 17 years as legal counsel and then Deputy City Solicitor there. And then coming to the City of Vaughan. I must say, in all of my positions, it's always been in an environment where men, women of all gender, race, it's always been very inclusive. So I've been lucky in that sense. Having said that, I think back to my own experience as an immigrant family. I came to Canada when I was 10 years old. At the time, it was a little bit of a traumatic event for me because I came from a place where I was an A student to become a C student. And the reason for it was because I didn't speak English. I was able to construct simple sentences and then knew a few words, but that was about it. And so throughout my first couple of years where I was really working hard to learn the language of the land, I've also conditioned myself in my thinking, in my own philosophy of life. I believe that where I fall, I need to pick myself up. And not only do I want to pick myself up, I want to fly. And so if English is where I'm weak in, then I want to excel in it. I want to work extra hard and excel in that area. And so I graduated from high school with top marks in English, French and Latin actually, and then went into history and political science. And then of course into law, where language is actually a critical component to our success. I think learning from that experience has really conditioned me throughout my life to remind myself that it's a lot of self-help. It's a lot of myself looking for opportunities, working hard, and gaining the trust of others. If there are opportunities out there that I could seize, I would be very happily and thankfully seize those opportunities. However, if there aren't any, I will go and make them myself. I will go and look for ways so that I can learn and grow and shine. I truly believe that every one of us should hold our destiny in our hands.
An incredible journey, and what incredible words. We're going to touch next upon how you feel your role within your organization or experiences throughout your career have been instrumental in supporting gender equity and the important role that women have undertaken in the building of a more sustainable future.
So I'm a strong believer in mentorship. I've had the opportunity to work with two mentors in my life, one being my pastor when I was in my youth, and I was one of the leaders where he handpicked to groom and develop, and he really helped me to learn a lot about myself. He helped me in learning how to run projects, how to run events, and how to lead teams. And then when I went into my career in law, my former boss, a former city solicitor in Mississauga, whom I worked for over 17 years, she had really believed in me. She had given me a lot of opportunities to grow, a lot of opportunities for me to develop myself as a lawyer, as a leader. And through those experiences, it really made me realize the importance of mentorship. To have someone that you can bounce off ideas with, to have someone to share your joys and your struggles with. And so I've taken it upon myself as my own mission in life to become a mentor for others. At work or outside work, I've actually been working with other men and women, mostly women, I must say, especially in the legal profession. I'm a mentor to a lot of other younger women coming to become lawyers. At the same time, also working with other people in other professions as well. And where I can also become their mentor. And in working with other women, a lot of the times we talk about struggles. And because I've always been in such an inclusive environment, I come to learn that not everybody was as lucky as I am. And so we work through those issues. We talk about how we manage up, how we work with others, how we build teams, how we develop ourselves. And I find that exhilarating. For me, I think that I truly enjoy working with others and seeing them grow and being that spark in darkness sometimes. Just a little spark sometimes goes a long way, and I want to be that spark in this world.
And what's better than women helping women, right? So our last topic of discussion centers around the United Nations International Women's Day theme, Gender Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow. When you think about that connection between gender equity and sustainability, how do you envision tomorrow's world?
We live in a very complex world. We live in a world where no one has the answer to everything. No one person, no one team, no one group, no one community, and no one country, right? And so I think that it is particularly important that we bring people together in such a complex world with so many complex issues out there. I think that divisiveness in itself is a waste of people's time and energy and effort. And so I truly believe in bringing people together, men, women, different race, sexual orientation, in whatever kind of other identity that we have, but bring people together, bring the best brains together, bring the best people together and work together to make the world a better place for tomorrow, for the next generation. So I love the theme that the United Nations have for International Women's Day this year. I think it speaks a whole lot, and I truly believe in it.
Thank you, Wendy Law, for joining us today and for sharing your knowledge and insight on this very important topic of conversation. You know, it's hard to believe our celebration has already come to an end. I would like to thank you all for joining us virtually for Vaughan's 9th Annual International Women's Day event. A heartfelt thank you also to our special guest speakers who have shared their life journeys of success, lessons learned, and knowledge with us, and to our young performers who have delighted us with great entertainment. International Women's Day serves as a vehicle to inspire change for women and girls right around the world. It is a day of celebration, however, it is also a daily reminder of the progress that has been achieved and provides inspiration for the progress that is yet to come. Thank you all for watching, and be sure to visit vaughan.ca/events for more information on upcoming events. And following this program, you can view this event once again on the City of Vaughan's YouTube channel. We're going to close off today's celebration with a final performance by the phenomenal girl power group. Stay safe, everyone. Be well, and thank you for watching.
This is us, yeah, don't matter big or small, we're gonna do it all, that's who we are, yeah, we'll make it far, yeah, passionate for some change, things will not be the same, built on trust, yeah, this is us, yeah, we are all strong people, working hard every day and night, trying to make the world peaceful, and we won't give up without a fight. We're gonna help those who are in need. Yes, we believe they can succeed. Overcoming obstacles every day. You'll be okay. We'll guide the way. Don't matter big or small, we're gonna do it all. That's who we are, yeah. We'll make it far, yeah. Passionate for some change, things will not be the same. Built on trust, yeah. This is us, yeah. Don't matter big or small, we're gonna do it all. That's who we are, yeah. We'll make it far, yeah. Passionate for some change, things will not be the same. Built on trust, yeah. This is us, yeah. Working better as a team, trying to achieve our dreams, reaching all corners of the world, inspiring every boy and girl. We're gonna help those who are in need. Yes, we believe they can succeed. Overcoming obstacles every day. You'll be okay. We'll guide the way. Won't let them bring us down. Take our message, shout it out. We won't be pushed around. We are strong, we are proud. Gotta get back up again. We'll all make it to the end. Whoa, whoa, won't let them bring us down. Take our message, shout it out. We won't be pushed around. We are strong, we are proud. Written in the stars, this is just who we are. Whoa.